All right, guys, I think we're live. Let me go double check on YouTube real quick to make sure it is live. Let's see. 'Cause it might be private.
It'd be a rookie move. I think you muted me. Yeah, you're good
Superface,
now.
what's going on,
Yep.
man? Uh, Explosive, what's going on? Evan, I appreciate that, man. Tyson, what's going on, man? We're obviously post free agency, post the NFL draft. We got the schedule, which I felt like a lot of people, including us, uh, thought that it was going to be dropping this past week, but
Mhm.
it was supposed. I guess it was supposed to
Tonight.
come out today,
Yeah.
but it got postponed until next week.
Yep. No, it's a weird time, man. It's like it's like a quiet time, but usually it's like the draft happens, you get the schedule, you book your road trip, you get the home opener, all that stuff. Now it's kind of a little delay, but I'm a Knicks fan, so I'm watching all the basketball games right now, so I don't mind it too much. But it's definitely a weird lapse with the schedule.
Yeah, for real, for real. Turtle, what's going on, man? Sorry, I'm trying to figure out if the stream is live or if it's privated still. Let's see. I'm gonna mute myself and then just pop over to you.
You know, I got an alert on my phone, so I think it's up. I think you're live, dude. Watch live now, Jet Central.
All right, we good. Elmo's World, what's going on? It's live. Dude, I don't
We're
go live.
rookies, man. We're rookies. What is this? We can't even tell if we're live or not. What are we doing here?
Dude, it's so weird because like through StreamYard, if you click live,
Yeah.
sometimes it doesn't go live on the channel.
Yep.
And it'll say you're live on StreamYard, and then you'll bounce over to the channel and the video will be privated or unlisted. So it's streaming technically, but it's not like public. But we know who we're gonna play, right? For the 2024 opponents. By the way, thanks so much for everybody hanging out, chilling. Paul, AJ, 73 Clucko.
We welcome everybody, man.
Chris, I appreciate that, bro. So yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to the schedule, man. I don't want to sit here and say it's gonna make or break the Jets season or really any team season, but it definitely impacts it. I don't really buy into the mindset of, oh, we got our set opponents, and it doesn't matter who and where and when we play them, because we're all going to just finish with the same record anyway. I do think scheduling matters a ton in the NFL.
But I mean, do you prefer to open up at home or on the road?
I don't care. I really want to open up. I guess this was going to kind of segue into the next topic, but with like our hopes for the schedule. But I really don't care. I want us to play a weaker team. That's my goal.
Come on, man. You want to play a weaker team. You want the tomato can of wrap. You want to get the hot start. Like you want to get the Patriots drop like 60 on them. Be like, you know what? We're ready to roll.
Yeah. Hell yeah, dude. That's how I want to come out. I don't want to. I mean, and look, it's not to say that, because we play some good teams, the Bills, the Rams, right? Niners. It's not to say that those are automatic losses or anything like that. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying I want to see a fast start this year. I want to get to the trade deadline 3 games above 500. Then we go out and make a move.
I think, but the thing is too, is like, I'll be honest. I'd like to start the season at home because you kind of want to enjoy that Aaron Rodgers moment again. Like I do. Like, I mean, we're all hurt. We're demoralized. Like you have all that hype, but you know what? I don't want Aaron Rodgers' first full game to be on the road somewhere else. I want to be in our stadium so we can enjoy that. That's my personal preference. I think the other thing too is you got to kind of figure how long till this offense actually gets in sync, because it's not like he played all last year. He didn't play last year. He's coming off injury. Like how long till this Hackett offense can start flowing, get in rhythm? They can start running the ball a lot. You could be like round and pound to start and then open up your offense. So in theory, you'd be like, you know what? I'd rather maybe start out with the Patriots, something like that, and let's get this offense figured out, the offensive line figured out. You have how many new starters there? You know what I mean? Let's work out all the kinks and then start steamrolling people. But I'm kind of like, I like to be at home, and I want the Patriots, dude, so bad. I just do. Like, I want that ass kicking so bad.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm kind of the same way in a lot of your points there. For me, I really don't like. So my mindset is because the Jets have 8 home games and 9 road games. I would rather play New England first.
Yep.
And so not going to sit here and assume a victory because New England has had Salah's number for years. But it's definitely a changing of the tide with New England.
Yeah.
Gangrene, dude. Yo, I appreciate that, man. At work, long day. Always cool when I catch Ian and Tyson together too. Content creators, no lie. Bro, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for the super chat too, by the way. You did not have to do that. Really means a lot. Yeah. For the love of God, could the Jets get a favorable schedule for once?
Yep.
We're all sitting here saying the same thing, man. Like, I felt like last year was just a gauntlet. The season before that, we kind of had a buzzsaw type of season.
Yeah, but
schedule.
How about this? Like, it's an all-in year with arguably the most talented team in the AFC East on paper. I know it's the caveat of on paper, but like to me, it's like my expectations are this team better win 11 games. And I'm going into week one, be like, I want to see ass kickings. We do. Like this team, you have a great defense, very good special teams. You should be able to at least run the ball, and Aaron Rodgers is going to figure it out. Like we should have confidence no matter who we play. Now, week one is the unknown because you don't know. There's a lot of variables, right? What are they going to do? What are we going to do? All this stuff. But like, dude, I'm not walking into any game, especially early on, like, oh, when we not. No, I want wins. I want perform at a high level immediately.
For sure. I mean, I think we all want wins. You know what I mean? I think.
But I'm not mailing in anything. Like to me, just saying in theory, they play the Patriots and lose week one, I'll be out of my mind furious. I'm like, no, we don't like you need to win. I'm like AFC East. That's the goal. Like no throwaway games. No, like you got to win all these games, right?
Yeah, but I'm not sitting here saying, oh man, if we open up with LA, right? Or week one, we travel to San Fran, that's an automatic loss. We'll throw our hands up. Oh man, this sucks. Yeah. Not at all. I'm just saying, as a Jets fan that has seen this team struggle with, I guess, maybe perception, optics, media, angry fans. I mean, Saleh said it himself, man. Like, oh, the Giants don't, we have it worse than the Giants or whatever the quote was. Like there's, in my opinion, like there's a lot of internal noise surrounding the optics of this football team.
Right.
So in my opinion, I want this team to start off fast.
Right.
What's the best and most realistic way to start off fast? Or what's the, highest probable chance of us doing that? It's playing New England, it's Tennessee, it's Arizona, it's Denver, crammed in the early parts of the schedule.
Yep.
I mean, if we can open up at New England, that to me is the perfect week one opener because I would assume we would win that football game.
Yep.
I mean, whether it's Jacoby Brissett or Drake May going up against our defense, I think is going to be really tough with a weak O-line and a weak offensive supporting cast. Gerard Mayo's first game, there's going to be pressure there.
Yep.
There's going to be jitters and, anxiety opening up in front of the home crowd for New England. I think, Aaron Rodgers bounce back game. If we go to New England, get rid of our, ninth road game, we start 1-0, we get a divisional win.
Yep.
And we put our, a divisional rival at beneath 500 to start the year off. And now we're looking ahead 1-0 with 8 home games, 8 road games. I like that spot as opposed. And I'm not saying that if we play tougher teams early on, we're going to start 2-5. But if we play Tennessee, Arizona, New England early on, I would like our chances more to be 5-3.
Right.
6-2 by the time the trade deadline rolls around. Now it's like, oh man, we're going to go out and trade whatever it is, a future pick, go out and land a stud, as opposed to us making that move or Joe Douglas being hesitant to. If we're the same exact team, but we're 3-5, and now it's like, oh man, we got to win 2 or 3 more games to get back to 500. Now we're trading away a future pick. Should we do that? Do we?
Yeah, I mean that's a path they can't go down, man, because, right now it's like there's not a lot of expectation for the Jets. Like a lot of fans are getting excited, but you're not really there till training camp starts and you see the Aaron Rodgers throws and all this stuff. And we all start fully buying back in, but there's not as much fanfare as last year because last year the Jets were the biggest story in the NFL. This year, not so much. I think a lot of people are discounting the Jets, like Aaron Rodgers, 40 years old, coming off major injury. This team's going to, I think there's not going to be as much hoopla and a lot of hype. I think there's going to be a lot less distractions. I think everybody's going to be like, you know what? A lot of fans are like, prove it to us. Like, we see what you've done. We want to see you actually win football games and play at a high level. So do you think there's going to be a lot of pressure from like the media for the Jets? I don't think so, dude. I don't think they're a big story this year. I think they feel like there's a curiosity about Aaron Rodgers, but I don't think it'll be anything like last year.
Yeah, I think there's going to be pressure. I just don't think there's going to be hype.
Right.
Like if the Jets miss the playoffs, in my opinion, everybody's going to get fired.
100%.
If we get 6-7 wins, whatever it is. So the pressure is real, But to me, it's the media hype. Like, oh, super! Like everybody was crowning the Jets as the best team in the AFC a year ago. Oh, it's our division. Buffalo's now in second.
Yep.
We don't care what Miami does. We don't care what Cincinnati does, whatever, because we got Aaron Rodgers. But what's ironic about the whole thing is if you look at 2020, on paper, of course, the 2024 team healthy compared to last season, we're in such a better place.
100%.
With upgrades all over.
Yep.
Yeah, great. Good point, man. Chaz, what's up, man? Thanks so much, bro. 2009 Murderers Row towards the end of the season.
Just as tough as
but it looks as tough. Yeah, it looks as tough as looks just as tough as last year. Where's prime time? So we don't actually have that schedule yet. Yep. We just know the opponents. See, to me, I think our opponents are on the easier. No game is easy, but I think it's on the easier side than compared to years past.
Yeah, and it's tough because there's always a team that surprised you. There's always a team that disappoints you. There's all these different things. So you don't really know. Like on paper, you figure it out, and then it's like I remember the 1 year with the Jets. Like, oh, they finished with an easy part of the schedule, and the easy part of the schedule teams are all winning records. So you really can't assume too many things. But the one thing that I'm hoping that is the Jets learned their lesson last year. They had Hard Knocks. They had everybody who's like just anointing them, all these different things. I'm hoping they have an edge now. They have a chip on their shoulder. But you know what? We're angry about this. We need to kind of redeem ourselves and prove everybody wrong, right? Do you think they're going to have that mindset where it's like they're not going to allow distractions? I know like Sauce Gardner talked about that, but I mean, do you think they have a different mindset?
I do. I mean, I definitely think, whenever you're like, quote unquote, humbled, right? Whenever you go through adversity, you're going to come out on the other side like more battle tested.
Yep.
We got to have some wherewithal. I felt like last season we just didn't have any, right? Yep. Like when adversity struck, we just crumbled. Yep. And I think there's a lot of people that should take blame for that, whether it's Saleh, whether it's Douglas not making moves, Zach Wilson, whatever it is, O-line injury, so much blame to go around. But yeah, I mean, I definitely think that this season coming up, there's not going to be as much media hype that we're going to be good. It's more so, yeah, you guys are good on paper. You guys talk like you're going to be really good, but we've heard this before. Go out and prove it. And I would much rather be in this position as opposed to last year where it was Rodgers, the mystique. We don't really know what we're getting. Lots of questions on the O-line, new offensive coordinator, Hard Knocks, I think is also another interesting kind of layer that hyped up everything even more. So, Toads, spot on. Yeah, they had no morale last season. Nope. I think this year, as much as I'm not a big Hackett guy, I think having Hackett in the building for year two, right? It's the second year of his offense being there. Rodgers coming back, Mike Williams, Tyron Smith, the rookies, Olu, Corley, the two new young running backs, AVT coming back, Morgan Moses. I mean, there's a lot of positive things that were added to this football team compared to 2023.
Oh, you missed the biggest one.
Hit me.
Tyrod Taylor, man. That's the difference, because right now it's like if Aaron Rodgers gets, like last year when Aaron Rodgers went down, we both knew Zach Wilson wasn't good. We literally said the minute he went down, we got to get somebody else in here. The players knew it too. They knew they had a defense had to play a perfect game. They had to scratch, claw, and find ways to win games because the quarterback couldn't do it for them. That's just a fact. They knew for the most part they couldn't win, and they're trying to find miracles to do that. This year, the biggest difference is if Aaron Rodgers gets banged up, Tyrod Taylor is legit. He's a legitimate backup that can win you football games. He's a great teammate that teammates can buy into. Like, you know what? All right, A-Rod's out for a couple of weeks. Cool. We have Tyrod Taylor. We're still a functional NFL team. The guy can run an offense and win us games. That mindset right there is changing, man. Your locker room's changed right there in terms of your leadership at the quarterback position, which is enormous. That, to me, is the biggest swing where it's like, all right, like the depth they have. Like, just say if Tyron Smith gets backed up, all right, you got Olu there. Like, they have depth now where you're like, all right, we can endure some injuries, because injuries are going to happen. That's the NFL, right? You see every team. How do you even deal with them? I think the Jets are in a better position. I think the players realize that too. Like, we can handle this now. We've proven we can win 6 games with absolutely no quarterback. Now we have, all-time great and a very good backup that we can still be very competitive.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I actually, as you were talking a second ago, I pulled up the opponents on who we're going to be playing this upcoming year. Let's take a look at them real quick. In in my opinion, like just trying to put it as simply as possible, in my opinion, we got a better football team. We're going to be a healthier football team and a deeper football team
Yep.
that's coming out of a season with a lot of adversity, just an absolutely humiliating season for not everybody, but the majority of the people running this football team, or at least the people that have had big roles to play with this team. Obviously, I'm not including like Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson into that, but the Zachs and the Salas and the Joe Douglases and whatnot. Yeah, Gangrene, I feel you. But again, just trying to keep it as simple as possible. The Jets won 7 games last year with horrible quarterback play, horrible offensive coordinator coaching, horrible offensive line play. 7 games with that.
Yep.
Now you add Rodgers. Now you add the depth. Now you add the backup quarterback, like you're saying. You add Hassan Reddick to this mix. And in my opinion, we're playing a bit of an easier schedule or have easier opponents that we have to play. I'm really liking that formula for success. I mean, if you want to quickly go down through this list right here and just kind of talk just, brief initial thoughts, obviously not win-loss per, predictions, because we don't know exactly how we're going to, play these teams, because you never know how it's going to pan out.
Right.
It could be, let's see, like home against the Colts, away in San Francisco. Then you come back.
I mean, just start out with the home games. Obviously, Buffalo, Miami, New England. Ideally, you want to beat you want to split with the Bills. You want to sweep the Patriots. Ideally, you like to sweep the Dolphins, but you at least got to get a split there too. You want to win 4 games in a division, right? That you want to go 4-2 in the division. So you figure those games at home are pretty much pivotal for you. You really want to get those done if you want to make a run at the AFC East, right? Houston Texans, phenomenal matchup. They are a team on the rise. You feel comfortable. Indianapolis Colts, all right, that's a team that's competitive, but if you want to be one of the best teams in the AFC and make a run, that's kind of a game you got to win. Like I consider like home games are more of a priority than away games, right? So to me, a game like the Colts is a game you should win, right? Like there's some games you got we're a very good team. This is a game at home we should win. Home field advantage, Aaron Rodgers. Usually you face who's a better quarterback, who's got the better coach in the kind of the matchups too, right?
Yeah, see, I kind of have the opposite approach where I'm looking at the home games as games that we should win,
right?
Most of the time. I'm focusing on the away games, right? Those are to me the games that, you have confidence at Buffalo, you have confidence in Cincy, you have confidence in KC on the road. They can go to wherever,
right?
Lambeau Field, go to Dallas, go to Philly and upset them.
Yep.
Or if not upset them, just get the outright win, right?
Yep.
That to me is where I'm focused on, as a Jet fan, right? Can we go to San Francisco? Can we go to Pittsburgh? Can we go to Minnesota and get these road victories? Whereas with the offensive games, I got to be honest, I do see, a lot of wins there. And I think the Jets, they do play better at home. So,
I mean, if you look at just going by what you're saying, I agree with you. Like the home game of the away games is where you separate yourself from everybody else. So if you look at Buffalo, Miami, New England, we know what they are. Jacksonville Jaguars are a young team on the rise. Trevor Lawrence can kind of he's improving, but probably not as fast as everybody likes. Are Aaron Rodgers and the Jets a better team on paper than the Jaguars? I mean, I would probably say they are, right?
Yeah.
Tennessee Titans, the quarterback. How do you feel about them? Okay, you can probably make a good argument. That's a team that Cardinals, Kyler Murray's back. They got a lot of explosiveness. You look at if you're being really honest about it with the matchups and the quarterbacks that you're facing on the road, it's the 49ers. The Vikings are in flux. The Steelers are in flux, right? Is there a quarterback that you're really scared of on your away teams other than Josh Allen?
Yeah. I mean, outside of Josh Allen, I mean, it's tough because of course, we got a couple young guys in the mix here. Right, like Will Levis. What if he takes a step with all these freaking wet? By the way, dude, Tennessee signed Calvin Ridley and Tyler Boyd and Tony Pollard. Like that's and drafted J.C. Latham on the O-line. Like talk about giving Will Levis, your young quarterback, some help offensively. 100%. So I don't want to just look at Tennessee and just say, yeah, they're going to suck. I don't believe that, but I do feel like we are still a better football team. We'll see how Russell Wilson and the whole Justin Fields dynamic works. Brock Purdy, he's Brock Purdy. I would take Aaron Rodgers over Brock Purdy, obviously, but Purdy at home is pretty damn good.
Yep.
But man, I got to be honest. Like, let's just quickly kind of go. Like, at least for me, I'm just gonna scan through the schedule and just talk about the games that I feel really good about. Just count them, and then just kind of see where I'm at with wins.
Yep.
So I think what you said about the division is spot on. So 2 wins against New England, 1 win against the Bills, 1 win against Miami. Let's just play it.
Yep.
You know, play it
4-2.
safe.
Yep.
So 4-2 right out of the division. I think we'll beat. I mean, again, it's so tough because we don't know exactly how the schedule is going to lay out. You know, are we coming? You know, are we playing on a primetime game coming off like a 4 o'clock window on? It's just so many different factors. But I guess I'll phrase it like this: here are the teams that I think the Jets are definitely better than right now. Now, that doesn't necessarily translate to wins, but
right.
You know, if the game was today, I would say that the Jets are the favorite. So again, 4-2, I think in the division. I think we're better than the Colts. I think we're better than the Broncos. I think we're better than the Seahawks.
Yep.
I think the Rams are better than us at this point in time.
Yep, I agree.
So right now, with just the home games in the division, we're looking at 7.
Yep.
Then you flip it to the away schedule. I think we are better than Tennessee. I think we're better than Arizona. I think we're better than Minnesota. I think we're better than Jacksonville. I think Pittsburgh is a sleeper for the season, so I don't want to say that the Jets are guaranteed to be better than them. I do think San Fran is better than us.
Yep.
So right now I'm looking at 10 to 11 wins. Yep. I would say based off of just, you know, May 9th, looking at just, you know, the team's website of opponents, I would probably say 10 to 11 wins.
Yeah, and that's the same where I am. I mean, like, you're looking, and like a comment a few minutes ago was like, you know, the Jets don't have the best roster in the AFC East, and I honestly think they do. And like, if you look at the AFC East and where we are, like the Jets, again, this is all on paper. Like you can only predict on what you see now and what you think is going to happen in the future, right? But if they have that much talent, you have say a top 5, top 6 defense and an offense that's going to score how many points a week? 22, 23 points a week. What's a fair amount of points a week?
I mean, it's what specifically for the Jets?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so tough because we have so many new faces.
But I mean, in like, even they start
definitely out more than 3 TDs.
Yeah. So you're thinking that's, if you have that kind of firepower, this kind of defense, that should keep you in every game. And to me, like 10, 11 wins that's where you start at. And it could probably increase to more, assuming they stay healthy and they play well. That's where we're at in a win now year. I mean, because you look at the Buffalo Bills. You know, that's the class of the division. They keep winning it every year, right? You respect Josh Allen, you respect their program, but the Jets have, you know, playmakers on both sides of the ball. They have an overall good talent with like legitimate Pro Bowl talent, game-breaking talent now, right? The Dolphins, you compare with them, took a step back. They had their issues as well. Patriots are rebuilding. So if you go 4-2 in the division and you're in the mix for all this stuff, dude, I mean, this isn't being like a Jets homer. It's just realistic that 10, 11 wins is a floor, I think, at this point.
Yeah, I think we got a really, really good roster. I think when you talk about what are the most important positions of a football team, quarterback, we have that. Left tackle, we have 2. Edge rushers, we have 3.
Corners.
Yeah, number 1 corner, Sauce. Do we have leadership? I think in some players we definitely do with Mosley, with Quinnen. I was impressed with his leadership a year ago. I think the younger guys too. We could throw Tyrod into that mix. I think a lot of the younger guys too will going into year 3 with Garrett and Brees and Gardner too. Even Michael Carter going into year 4 at slot corner. Like I think a lot of these younger guys are like they've been around the game for a little bit, a couple years. I would assume that they're going to be more mature now, not necessarily saying that they're going to all get so much better as players. It's not necessarily what I'm saying or getting at, but I think just from a leadership standpoint, not getting too high, not getting too low, had their fair share of wins, had unfortunately too many losses. But I'm excited that the young guys are finally kind of growing out of the young guy persona.
Yep.
Like all these guys are going to be in year 3. Like that to me, like that's not no more rookie mistakes, if you will. Like these guys really start to, I don't want to say grow up because it's not like I'm in the locker room with them, But this is to me like where you start seeing the guys, the good football players, like start making leaps as leaders in the locker room as well.
Well, you see that from like guys like Jermaine Johnson too. I think the one thing that Joe Douglas has been very successful with is the culture in the locker room where it's all about hard work, discipline, love the game of football, and it's like a united team. And that's the one thing where you see like Jermaine Johnson is motivating Will McDonald. Like they're all, you know what I mean? There's a lot of guys that are hungry. CJ Mosley takes a pay cut to stay. He wants to get these, you know, like there's a lot of like you have Mosley, you have Aaron Rodgers. These guys, everybody's it's kind of like a very unified group here where it's like they're all in. They know like last year's disappointment. They also know, listen, if we don't play well this year, Aaron Rodgers may retire. This window could be closed for us too. Like we've got to perform to keep our coach's job, to keep our quarterback here. I think they all know that, dude. The one interesting thing, though, you mentioned it a little bit before. I wanted to ask you about this. Is the wide receiver position we like, right? But I was kind of hoping we could add another piece. You like Corley, you like all these additions, but there was some veterans out there week by week, like, hey, man, I like to get Tyler Boyd, or Chark was out there, Michael Gallup. But then I was like, maybe it's the money. Maybe the money's too high. And then you see the contracts they get, and you're like, wow, like that is nowhere near I thought the money he was going to make. Even Beckham, going to Miami. But some of these guys, I mean, Boyd did not sign for a lot of money, man. And to me, it's like either the Jets couldn't, I mean, obviously they're tied to Alan Lazard because of the contract. And they're like, you know what? We have no choice. We got to keep him because nobody wants him. He's making too much money. But are you surprised that the Jets didn't even take a flyer on any of these guys? I mean, I think MVS is still out there, but
Boyd, hey, it's your boy.
Yeah. He's also my guy. But like, were you surprised by the money Boyd got and the fact that Jets weren't even rumored to be in on any of these guys?
I think that, to me, the second part, what you just said, is a bit more concerning over them not bringing him, because I think Malachi Corley is going to be the team's slot receiver. Behind him, it's like Xavier Gibson. Although I love Tyler Boyd.
Yep.
Definitely one of my, I guess, more favorite wide receivers in football. Just love what he did in Cincinnati. And by the way, I love the fit in Tennessee too, reuniting with Callahan. Yep. I think that's going to be nice, giving your young QB a weapon like we talked about. Allison, hey, thanks so much. I hope A-Rod gets to play this year and get to the playoffs and be a superstar. It's time to prove himself. Yeah, definitely. If that happens, he becomes like the king of New York.
100%.
I do think we get at the very least one playoff win. But Allison, I appreciate you. Thank you. Zay Jones is still out there.
He's doing a tour right now. He's going every. I think he's in Kansas City today, isn't he? I think Zay Jones is going to every team that needs a receiver right now at this point. He's still out there. But to me, it's like there was other guys that were better and they didn't sign for a lot. Like I respect Zay Jones, but I mean, I mean that's the thing. I think the contract, they couldn't trade him. Nobody wants him. And I think they're banking on Rodgers' chemistry with Lazard, where he bounces back, where he knows that the fans have kind of written him off. The media's kind of wrote him off a little bit. Maybe that's the guy. But the other thing you mentioned, and this is something that I'm really curious about because everybody likes Corley's game. Yak King, this, that. I'm almost a little bit nervous that the expectations are a little bit too high for him too early, where he's got a little bit work to do in terms of just learning the NFL offense, his route tree, everything else. You know what I mean? It's like, and even the team himself hyping him up. Like, everybody's hyping this kid up. Like, I'm like, all right, let's not forget the round he was picked in and where he's at, because to have like unrealistic expectations too far can only set us up for disappointment. Are you kind of understand what I'm saying? Or like, almost want to temper things a little bit. We're like, all right, listen, you got Garrett Wilson, expect big things. Mike Williams, expect monster things. Conklin, I get it. But I'm not saying Corley's going to catch 65 passes this year for 900 yards and 7 touchdowns. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think at the end of the day too, like we got to remember third round pick, picked in the 60s. To me, well, I think one of the things that's kind of fueling the hype with Malachi Corley is how good receivers are in their rookie year.
Yep.
Like it's like I mean, dude, even last year with Puka Nacua,
it's true.
Like, random mid to late round pick that nobody was talking about in round 1 or round 2.
Yeah.
And comes to the league and freaking dominates. And of course, other factors, Rams, McVay, stat, all these different things. But, at the end of the day, late round wide receiver that comes in, not many people, again, were high on him. Nobody thought that he was going to have the year that he had. Stephon Diggs was a later round guy. I mean, all these, there's so many different examples that we can point to of like, oh yeah, he was a third rounder. He was a fourth rounder. But no, I'm with you. I mean, I don't want to create an environment to where Malachi Corley is like, oh man, if he doesn't catch 60, 70 passes, what a disappointment, right? Not in the slightest, right? Personally, I want to run the ball.
100%.
I'm not going to be looking so much at like, for me, I think TDs are going to be the big stat for me, right? Garrett Wilson having 9 touchdowns or 10 touchdowns or something like that,
Yep.
as opposed to like the receptions or, yards even, because I really want to pound the rock, especially with these 2 new young running backs. I think that's, to me, kind of insurance for those cold weather games too. Like late into the season, you get 2 bruising backs. So, I mean, we're looking at 4 young backs with improvements on the O-line. So,
yeah, well, I mean, that also does another thing too. You can effectively run the football, you eat up the clock, and you also get Aaron Rodgers slowly involved in the offense. You know what I mean? Like that's the one thing you don't want to come out week one and Aaron Rodgers got to throw the ball 45 times and get 350 yards, win the game. You want to dominate the line of scrimmage, wear them out, establish that, and slowly open up your offense where you're not forced to air it out all the time. He's not taking big hits. Because you got to figure, you got a lot of things going on here. You have Aaron Rodgers returning. You have the offensive line trying to figure out what they are and who they are, how they play the game, right? You got to get Breece Hall in sync. You have all these different pieces here. So the easiest way to overcome all that early on is run the football consistently. Get your 3 or 4 yards of carry. Then if it's 3rd and 2, you can go play action pass or like all these little screens or whatever else. Running the ball is paramount, dude. I think that's the biggest key. And I think having 4 running backs, you have, Braylon Allen, who everybody loves. Even, it's like you could see what they're trying to do. Now it's a matter of them doing it. But I think that's going to be the formula early on.
So let's take a look here at these free agent wide receivers that are still out in the open market. So Hunter Renfrow, again, I like his game. I think he's going to end up with the Saints. He's just a good offensive fit there, reunites with Carr. Michael Thomas, would you take a flyer on him?
Nope, that ain't happening.
So, Russell Gage, another inside guy here. MVS, I know
that's gonna be the guy. That's gonna be the guy, dude. We already know it. Like $2 million, $3 million a year, he's gonna be here, right? I think is it, or they're gonna bring back Randall Cobb.
Dude, it kind of feel. I mean, I will say though, I kind of felt the same exact way with Bakhtiari, and I guess it could still happen. But yeah, no, I you just kind of feel like MVS is just like inevitable to the Jets at this point. Zay Jones. Jamal Agnew,
nope.
O'Cole Hardman, Jakeem Grant, nah. Randall Cobb, nah. Marquise Goodwin. I mean, it's like Richie James, maybe.
But that's why it's like you look at the names on this list, but you look at the guys that just signed recently or the last week or so, and the money was so. And I saw the one comment in the chat where like Jets don't have any cap space. They have cap space. They can make moves happen here. For $3 million a year to bring in a receiver, you can definitely afford that. It's just a matter of, how they go about doing it. But, and also you could wait, like the one thing you could say too is, they got that 3rd round pick that they picked up in the draft. If you can win your 5 or 6 or whatever else games, you know what, you get to the trade deadline, you spin that 3rd round pick for Cortland Sutton or something like that, and you get a midseason addition. So that could be the plan where it's like, all right, let's figure out what we truly have. And that's the other argument too, that I had, I think yesterday with somebody was we truly don't know what Brownlee and Gibson are. Because we didn't have a quarterback last year. Like, like how much of a difference does Aaron Rodgers make to Gibson or Brownlee or, or even Lazard? Like maybe we're discounting all these guys because we just don't know what they are and really in this offense. And the Jets are like, you know what? Let's keep what we have now. Let's start the season. And if they aren't panning out or they're not working out, then we pivot and make that trade to get somebody else in here. But they kind of want to see because Rodgers loved Gibson and Brownlee in training camp last year. Maybe that's the plan. That could be the plan,
Definitely. I agree with you 100%. I mean, there's going to be teams that disappoint this upcoming season.
Yep.
We don't necessarily know who they're going to be right now, but, we like every year there's I mean, that was kind of like where we were at, a year ago, man. Like there's always just a couple teams that just either fall apart or have a catastrophic injury and the season doesn't go their way, or the coach, it just doesn't seem like is flowing with the team. Now it's kind of hard to pinpoint that because you're coming off free agency, you're coming off the draft, right? You got so much, so much hype with all these different teams. Like everybody's thinking, all right, we're all going to get better here. But the reality is, there is going to be teams that are picking in the top 10, with bad records.
Yep.
who are those teams going to be? I think from there we can try to identify players that we can go out and really target at the deadline.
Yep.
This is, tons of assuming, tons of hypotheticals, right? A team is doing poorly.
Yep.
They're down to trade, a good player to the Jets. Let's just kind of throw all that out for a second. Who are some guys to you that you just talked about Courtland Sutton, but just random guys that you could just see being moved at the deadline to us that would make sense, like a DK Metcalf, maybe if Seattle doesn't get out. I'm just trying to,
Yep. Well, you look at the history of the NFL right now. It's like all these high-priced receivers that are in the last year of a contract or like in some kind of contract stalemate, and the team is losing. Look at the 49ers. The 49ers got problems with Deebo Samuel and Ayuk. You have all these big receivers where it's like, you know what? Devontae Adams, like everything's cool with Devontae Adams and the Raiders right now, but it's like, it's all these big names, and that's where you have the lure of Aaron Rodgers. But you got to be a relevant team where it's like you got to be 6 wins, 7 wins. We're like, all right, we're close. We're this close. Where this player it can cost us a lot of money, but it's going to put us over the top. Where it's like it's going to be a slam dunk. The other X factor in this too is what if Mike Williams is playing great? We don't even need one then. That's the other thing too, right? Like if Mike Williams is balling out and so is Garrett Wilson, it's a lesser of a need. We may need a bell cow running back. Like that's the one question in the chat was really good, where it was like, they don't have veteran experience in the running back room. They have Brees, then they have second year of Izzy and 2 rookies. That's a fair point, because you want to have a guy that's going to under pressure, is good in blitz pickup, doesn't fumble. You know what I mean? Like Izzy fumbled the ball last year a couple times. Like that's a really fair point. That's a really good question right there, because that's something we talked about prior to the draft. Remember, it's like, I'd get Ezekiel Elliott. I'd go pick up, like Kareem Hunt or whoever else we talked about.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like if that was, which I agree with, right? I think I would have, went out and tried to made a push to go bring in one of those running backs. And by the way, Sergey, we don't have the schedule. We're kind of discussing the potential schedule, right? The opponents that we're playing, how we feel about it, kind of rough outlines and expectations, before the season. And we both kind of agreed like 10, 11 wins is like, the respectable, I guess, floor for this football team. If we just, on paper beat who are better than better against. But I think the Jets, they won't sign a veteran running back, because this is kind of the conundrum with drafting the 2 backs in this year's class and then 1 a year ago in Izzy, where it's like, are they going to carry 4 RBs on the 53?
I think they do.
You do.
Yep. I think they do, because of special teams. I think you're going to figure they're going to find ways. Izzy's speed and kickoff returns, dude, he's going to be ridiculous. So I think you find ways to use him there, special teams. And you also, I guess, you got to figure, unfortunately, there's going to be injuries too in training camp. There's probably a decent chance one of them's going to get banged up. You can stash them wherever, so I think they do keep all 4, but it's a fair point about veteran experience there. I guess you can kind of count on, I guess, with me, a lot of my justification of things is Aaron Rodgers, where it's like, oh, he's a leader back there. He can figure it out. He can help he can guide these young kids along. But I don't know.
Right. And I'm just like, I'm trying to think of like legitimate holes for this football team. And, we're sitting here talking about receivers. But there hasn't really been any rumors or like smoke regarding wide receiver, but there has been with safety. Like I keep seeing that the Jets are going to be interested in veteran safeties, and they're kind of just doing their due diligence and whatnot. Let me quickly pull up the list of the guys who are currently out there, and we can kind of talk about potential fits, because, dude, with safety, that's a completely different story than wide receiver, where it feels like it's slim pickings, right? Safety, I mean, you could go get legit like top 15, 20 safeties today. Insane.
100%. And that's the thing too. It's like, the Jets are high on Chuck Clark, but he's coming off a major injury. So, you like Tony Adams, Ashton Davis is a nice story, but this is like, you could sign one of these guys and it could be a legitimate upgrade, right? I think it's only fair. I would.
Yeah. Yep. Kadu, would you trade for Budda Baker? I would. I don't think I would, just because you're going to have to pay him a ton of money, and you're going to have to give up a nice draft pick to go get him. I think I would rather just, pay less and go get like a stopgap for this season.
That's like a luxury item right there.
But here we go. So here's the list right now. So Jamal Adams, I don't really think that's just realistic at this point. So moving down, we got Justin Simmons. The best possible case, in my opinion, is Justin Simmons.
So can I ask you a question? What type of safety are you looking for in terms of for the Jets? Are you looking for a guy that's got a lot of range? I think we can agree, like Chuck Clark's kind of a thumper, right? He's kind of going to be more of like an inbox kind of that. Tony Adams got some range. Ashton Davis runs around. Not really sure what he does sometimes, but are you looking for a guy like a free safety, a box safety? What are you looking for?
I'm looking for a free safety.
Okay.
Because I think in Saleh and Ulbricht's defense, you need to have somebody like a center fielder in the back middle part of the defense, where Adams is in that role now. But I mean, let's just, call it like it is. Justin Simmons is the better safety, according to many fans out there.
Yep.
I think you can make an argument. There's a lot of free safeties out here on this list that I think would be upgrades.
I agree.
Now, does that mean that the Jets will go out and pursue it or go out and sign them? No, but I think we already have like a bunch of that strong safety, box safety type of player to come up and try to neutralize the short passing game, help out in the running game, mobile quarterbacks, watching them. Like Ashton Davis to me is like, kind of fits that role. Chuck Clark, same kind of deal. Even like Mr. Irrelevant, last pick in the draft, Key from Alabama, kind of the similar player. But with free safety, it's like if we could get a dominant ball hawk back there, nobody is going to go over the top on us. Nobody.
Yep. And that's what you got to figure too, is like you're going to figure the Jets pass defense. You figure the Jets going to be playing with a lead. The pass rush increases, a lot more opportunities to get those turnovers, the big pick, this and that. And that's where, I'm with Card Cave Central here. It's like a center fielder, a ball hawk guy. That guy's got good range and can fly around and make plays.
For sure. And Card Cave Central's hanging out in the chat here. What's going on, man? So quick little side note, he owns a card shop over in New Jersey.
Oh, nice.
Obviously, Card Cave Central. So if you guys are in the area,
we're in New Jersey. I'm in New Jersey. Where in New Jersey is this place? I want to go stop by. Does he have Jet stuff?
He does. He's a big Jet fan.
What the hell? How am I in the last to find out about this? Where in New Jersey? Tell me where it's at. I'll come by there.
I don't have the town, but I'm sure he'll drop it in here.
Union, New Jersey.
Union.
Bro, I'm gonna write this down. I'll come by. If you have like Jet stuff there, I'll definitely check it out. I love that kind of stuff. I like memorabilia and stuff.
Yeah, so be sure, Card Cave Central. He's the man. I appreciate you hopping in. Yeah, Jet stuff and offense and OC. But yeah, man. So going back to the list here, Justin Simmons, I think we can both agree, right?
Yep.
Obviously, dominant player upgrade. Dominant, I guess, is a big word, but I think he's still an upper echelon free safety in my opinion.
Yep, no, I agree.
Eddie Jackson, Chicago, kind of plays free safety, can play strong safety. He's a veteran, spent his entire career with Chicago Bears, high pick from out of Alabama, and really has been great.
Yeah, he has been.
So I like Eddie Jackson, but I don't necessarily like if news comes out tomorrow, we sign him. I'm going to be pumped up. But dude, the one player that I feel like is totally realistic is Quandre Diggs.
Yep.
Dude, talk about somebody who like fits the system, can play free or strong.
Yep.
He's coming from the Pete Carroll system, so he kind of knows the role and responsibility. To me, and I think he's going to be cheaper than Justin Simmons too. I think Quandre Diggs is like that to me is the guy that makes the most sense.
Yep.
For the Jets defense.
Well, what kind of money? Because it's like this. At some point, this market's got to heat up a little bit. Does it happen now? Does it happen in training camp? But what kind of market do you think he has? Like, what do you think he's looking for in terms of a contract, and what do you think he'll get?
I think all these guys, maybe outside of Justin Simmons and Tannehill, are the only two free agents left that I could see signing like $9+ million deals. I think everybody else on this list at every other position, for the most part, is going to be under $9 million.
Yep.
Just because of timing, just because we're post draft. I mean, dude, in the week after the draft, we saw the Bills make 3 moves.
Yeah.
They signed Chase Claypool randomly. We saw the Dolphins bring in OBJ.
Yep.
Raiders got Gallup. Chark went to the Chargers. Like all these just random moves, just like boom, 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 boom. It's the teams that, and we were talking about this before the draft, right? Like right after the draft, we're going to see a bunch of signings to just fill holes because, of the positions that maybe those teams didn't go out and draft, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I think, it
was an interesting question about Gibson from San Francisco. He's older though. He's like, what, 34 years old?
Yeah, and he was honestly out there. It's a good option, good suggestion, but he's been out there for a while in the free agent market in years past, and the Jets have just shown no interest in him. I thought we were actually going to bring him in when Saleh first got the job with us.
That's what I thought too. The other name that everybody knows is Marcus May, who has some legal issues going on, I think, as well. But Marcus May was like a quiet leader, respected guy. Been banged up a lot, I think, too, wasn't he? But that's a guy that he's not going to cost a lot in terms of like good value. I think you'd probably get really good value from him because he's not going to be expected to do a lot. But I think I'm with you. I kind of like Diggs as the guy where it's like that's just seems like a home run.
Yeah, I think both of those guys. I mean, Marcus May. Geez, this. I guess it's a kind of a good problem to have, right? Let me ask you this: what about Micah Hyde?
Old.
Yeah, 33. What about Tracy Walker? I like Tracy Walker a lot from Detroit. Who was cut, by the way.
He was cut?
Yeah, he was released from the Lions. I believe he was. Because I saw that he posted like a goodbye to Detroit. But he's like a big, hard-hitting safety. He plays free safety, but he's like built like a linebacker. He has multiple seasons with 100+ tackles. The guy's just kind of all over the place. I really like him. But I'm trying to think. Adrian Phillips is way too old. Gibson might be too old at 33.
So if you had to rank based on this list that we're looking at right here, if you had to rank your top three, what would be your top three?
I would say Justin Simmons is 1, Quandre Diggs is 2, Tracy Walker 3, Marcus May 4, Eddie Jackson 5.
Yeah, that's.
But as far as it being realistic, I think that list will change.
Yeah, based on the money, right?
Yeah, based on the money. But Tyson, I'm thinking so next week, right? The schedule comes out, and which I believe it's May 15th. Even though the NFL, I don't think has announced anything officially. I think it was just like that random Schefter tweet.
Yep.
Let me see here. Clancy, how about Edmonds? Is Edmonds a free agent?
Is he still?
He is, yeah. So I know it didn't really work out in Tennessee, but I mean, 27 years old, like, be worth a shot. Like, in my opinion, dude, like, if you're a win now football team, like, leave no stone unturned.
Yep.
At least, like, you could bring him in on a cheap deal or at least offer something and just kind of go from there. But
and that's a good question from Card Cave Central too. Is like, you guys think we're thin at linebacker? Or are we good? Because you figure the Jets are really high on Jamie Sherwood. They love him. You have, I think, Chaz Surratt still there too, right? If you look at the Jets linebackers. Yeah. Quincy Williams is a rising star. CJ Mosley, a year older. I don't think they tinker with linebacker, do you? I don't think so.
They also added a linebacker from Army in the undrafted market.
Okay.
And supposedly Joe Douglas loves him.
So yeah, I think if you look at the defense, I mean, the only other spot on defense this is the question. That's what I finally remembered. The last 15 minutes, I've been sitting there like, there's a question I wanted to ask you all day today, but I'm like, I'm not going to text you. I'm going to ask you tonight. Defensive line, right? Interesting. Obviously, everybody loves Clemens, and you want to figure out John Franklin Myers is gone. Do you think they make a move for a defensive lineman? There's still a couple guys out there that are a little bit older, but still quality defensive linemen that could be better against the run than what they currently have. Do you think they consider that, or do they go into training camp as they are right now?
I think they probably go into camp as we are right now, just because, I mean, first of all, we look at the money. I mean, so our starting lineup is fantastic. We also have rotational depth guys there.
Mm-hmm.
But, at the end of the day, how much money are the Jets willing to invest in the D-line? Because we got first-round contracts in Will McDonald, Jermaine Johnson. Hassan Reddick will be paid at some point.
Yep.
We brought back Solomon Thomas. We brought in Kinlaw.
Yep.
Quinnen is getting paid a ton. We did trade JFM, but I don't know. I just don't know how much money. To me, if the Jets are like worried about their D line depth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Worried about guys that can stop the run, I would have just kept JFM.
Yeah. Now, do
You know?
do you think as of today, what May 9th, that they get a deal done with Reddick? They add a second year or third year? Do you think, or I mean, you kind of think they have to get a deal done, right? You don't trade for them and not extend them, right?
It's tough. I think to me, that's going to be a type of deal where we're going to like get that news halfway through the year.
Think so. What they see how he plays well, they extend him, or they kind of say, you know what, this ain't working out.
Yeah, dude, because if you extend Reddick, you're essentially saying that McDonald or Johnson, but probably McDonald is going to be a backup for, you know, I get it, right? There's a lot of rotation with the Jets D line, but as far as just the starting group, one of those guys are going to be the odd man out because you're not going to be pulling Reddick off. You know, he's not going to be playing like 51% of the snaps, and McDonald's going to be. You know, Reddick isn't going to be on the bench for 49% of the pass rushing snaps. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, you know, you never know. Like with pass rushers, they kind of are boom or bust. But with Reddick, he's been consistent. But I mean, if we are 7 weeks into the season and Reddick has a half sack, then Joe Douglas is probably like, oh, you know, good thing I didn't pay him. But you know, if he has whatever 6 sacks halfway through, or you know, we're getting towards the tail end of the year, week 14, week 15, and he's like 9.5, 10, 11. It just kind of falls right in line with where he's been. And then you just, you know, you give him the contract that his numbers mirror. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it.
Yeah, that's interesting to see how that plays out with it. You know, he wants that big contract, and he's earned it. I mean, he's a legitimate guy. Like I've liked him for years at this point. So yeah, this is a guy that I know you're high on too. But it's a matter of just getting him motivated.
Yeah, Leonard Taylor. Yeah, it's definitely something to watch for sure. But going back, what were we just talking about? Leonard, I just started thinking about my Leonard Taylor highlights at Miami.
We're talking about defensive line, Hassan Reddick and the contract.
Right, Reddick. So this is what I was going to say. I don't necessarily know. To me, the Hassan Reddick deal, you have to be careful with it because you got to assume that Jermaine Johnson, Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, Breece Hall are all going to be paid right around that same time.
Yep.
So you're talking about 4 big contracts just with those players. And I don't want to be in a position where we're paying a ton to an older Hassan Reddick, but now we're forced to let Jermaine Johnson like leave because we can't afford him.
Yep.
You know,
well, I mean, I think their problem this year is they have a tremendous amount of dead cap. They have what $50 million in dead cap space. I think that problem goes away next year where you have a lot of money, but then like you think it's like some ridiculous like $85 million, which is great. But now you got to start keeping some of the young players. You can't let this young nucleus go. You let Bryce Huff go. You got to start keeping these guys. So that money could go pretty quick. To your point, that's why the Reddick thing is fascinating too, man.
And like another thing too, man, it's like there's a lot of 1-year deals here. Like just off the top of my head, Mike Williams, Morgan Moses, Tyron Smith, Ashton Davis, Chuck Clark, Hassan Reddick, technically, Kinlaw, Solomon, Tyrod's a 2-year. I mean, there's quite a bit of. I mean, eventually you're gonna have to pay AVT quicker than the other guys. Like,
well, they picked up his option, but that's definitely a spot where you're gonna have to think about him. Yeah, that's the other thing too. It's like you could be this time next year. You could be like, well, we got 3 new offensive linemen. Like, oh, great. You know, it could be that spot too. It's like the money thing's gonna be interesting. That's why this year is so paramount. They've got to make a big splash and win, dude. Like you can't because there could be a lot of uncertainty next year, but how you handle your cap and how you keep these guys.
Yeah, no, it's man, it's a good point. Like when you start diving into the Jets cap situation, it's kind of freaky, but
like you give Joe Douglas credit for being smart and frugal, not giving out bad contracts, but at the same time he gets a lot of outs where he gets out after 2 years, which is great. But the opposite of that is that it leaves you like, all right, I got to replace these guys. Like the guy didn't work out. Fine, like Alan Lazard didn't work out. Okay, now he's gone, but now I got to replace him. That money wasn't well spent, so that's going to be his challenge.
Yeah, I just don't really see a situation where they like let Garrett walk, they let Gardner walk, and just like with how the cap continues to go up, how these players at these positions are getting paid, like I could see Gardner getting paid freaking just a mega deal. Garrett Wilson a mega deal.
Dude, but you look at Sauce, he's going to be the highest paid corner in football. There's no there, you had like he's been Pro Bowl his first 2 years. He's only getting better. All pro for Christ's sakes. Like he had to make the highest paid corner in football easily. Brees Hall, I mean, as good as Garrett's been, think about how he's going to be with a real quarterback and the numbers he's going to put up. He's going to want top level wide receiver money. Brees, running backs are kind of interesting because they're not really getting paid right now. I mean, the top guys are, but running backs are kind of weird. But you figure Garrett, Sauce, they're going to want money. And then Jermaine Johnson as a pass rusher, they all get paid. You know what I mean? So that's interesting to see how that plays out because the Jets will almost have like no leverage at Sauce Gardner. They have none. Homegrown guy, he's done everything right. Played one of the best in his position. Does all the right things, says all the right things. He's already tweeting, I want to be a Jet for life. Like, if you don't get a deal with him done, dude, the fans are going to riot. I'm like, dude, you're out of your mind, right? Like, that's...
Yeah, I think there's like a 100% chance that he re-signs with us, but, with that comes a mega deal. And if he was our only first-round pick that year, that's fine, but we're also going to have to pay Garrett Wilson a big deal and all these... It should, like you said, it's going to be an interesting kind of situation to monitor throughout the years. Oh, geez.
But the other thing too is the other pivotal thing with that is you want to pay them. You also got to have a winning environment here, something they could believe in, or they could ask for out. Like look at some of these receivers that weren't happy where they were. They're like, I want out of here. Like that could be a Garrett Wilson. Like, listen, I want to get paid, but we haven't made the playoffs in 3 years, 4 years. I'm not getting my numbers.
Bryce Huff,
bro. That's nothing can happen. Like you got to have you have to have these 2 years of Aaron Rodgers. Hopefully it's 2 years that they play well. He gets his numbers. They win. They want to stay here and they could buy into something like that. I think it's more than that. He's gonna get paid.
Yeah, dude. Sean, he's gonna get way more than $15 million a year.
He's getting paid.
Let me just see who the top paid corner or what the top contracts look like in the.
And I agree with Sean. He said, "I'm afraid out of the four from the 2022 draft, Brees could be the odd man out." That could be, man. If you're gonna pay the corner, the pass rusher, the receiver, and you saw how the running back market played out this year. As great as Brees is.
So in total, the highest paid cornerback contract is Denzel Ward at $105 million total. Now, and that is $20 million on average.
Sauce is going to clean up, dude. And it's earned. He's the best player in his position.
The highest paid on average corner is Jair Alexander at $21 million per year, who signed an $84 million deal with only 30 guaranteed, which is interesting. Denzel Ward got 71 mil guaranteed.
Bro, he is going to get, it's going to be ridiculous the money he gets.
I mean, yeah, you got to I think that he's probably going to get 24 to 25.
Yep. And figure what, 4 years, 5 years, right?
Something like that. Yeah. Like 4 years, 100 or 4 years 110 or something. I don't know, something. It's going to be insane.
And look
at it's not getting paid this year. I mean, if the Jets want to kind of get out in front of it, this is where the Bills do a beautiful job, by the way.
Yep.
It's signing these players, like not waiting until the last minute to sign their homegrown guys. And they just, look at Ed Oliver's numbers this year. And then look at what he's getting paid on the non-rookie deal. It's freaking nuts, man. Like he's hardly getting paid the value for Buffalo is insane. Josh Allen was the same way. They just said, screw it, let's do it now.
Yep.
And, they're not in a position. I mean, of course, you're going to pay Josh Allen again, but, he's not getting, like, if you look at the top QBs, it's Burrow, it's Herbert, it's Lamar, and all these different guys that are signing. But I would take Allen pretty much over every single one outside of Pat Mahomes. So, yeah, I don't know. I just feel.
What's the wide receiver market at? Because you're looking at because Garrett Wilson is interesting because you're gonna pay him based on potential and what he can do. Because right now it's like he's being held back by an awful quarterback play and an awful offense, but what he can do. I think we all know what he can do. We're hoping to see it this year with Aaron Rodgers, but I mean he's gonna be the same boat, dude.
Yeah, so I don't think Garrett will be the highest paid receiver. But this is kind of what we're looking at. Top three guys are at $30 million a year on average, which is a ton of money. And then like all these mid-tier guys. I mean, not mid-tier.
Look at Calvin Ridley. What's Calvin Ridley getting? $23 million a year?
Yeah. Bro. But the reaction when the Titans signed him was, man, they overpaid for him. And you listen to Ridley, yeah, I thought I was going back to Jacksonville until I saw the Titans contract offer. So
yeah, but even though it's perceived that you overpaid for him, it's still on the books, and that's what you're ranking it at. So it's like, all right, well, that's where he stands. I'm better than him. I want to get paid more than that. I mean,
yeah, like Deontay Johnson at 18, Chris Godwin, 20 mil.
What Michael Pittman get? 23.
Pittman got 23. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Garrett's gonna get paid. You figure if you get like what 80 catches over 1,000 yards, 8-9 touchdowns this year, he's gonna be right up there, man. He's gonna be right up in that range, in that 23 million a year range. Because he's young, he's good, and he's been held back by horrible quarterback play.
Well, you got to think too, if the cap goes up again, because we're not talking about extending him this year, although I would consider it. We're talking, I mean, because they got the 5th year options too, so we're going into year 3. I mean, when do you start extension talks? Probably at the end of this year if Garrett dominates, which I think is probably responsible to get your own homegrown stud players, locked up on big deals.
Especially when you have the cap space to do it. When you're in a position where you have excessive cap space, you start locking guys up, making things. You have your building blocks then, and then you're, like you mentioned, you kind of get in front of things. You kind of be proactive instead of being reactive, where it's like, all right, say in theory, this is his first great year. Let's get it locked down now. If he has back-to-back great years, there's another $5 million a year. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're almost betting on him getting better and trying to take advantage of that situation.
Most definitely, man. Most definitely. I mean, geez, some of these contracts are freaking humongous.
I mean, look at even Jerry Jeudy. What is he getting? It's like 17.5 a year?
Yep, 17.5. Total 52.
And Iconical Wear is right. The Christian Kirk contract threw everything off whack last year. I think it was last year, right? When he got the contract, you're like, what? It was. He got $18 million a year.
I think it might have been 2 years ago.
Was it 2 years ago? I remember he got it. I was like, what in the hell? I'm like, he got that? And it was like, phew.
I forget exactly when he signed, but because he was the guy who I wanted the Jets to start, and then he signed the deal. I'm like, oh my God, yeah.
Yep.
Crazy. But Tyson, I think that's going to do it for me, man, unless you had more topics that you wanted to cover.
No, tonight's kind of night. You just kind of look in like where they're at, look at the schedule, where the roster is. And then next week we have the actual schedule will be out next week. So we can actually look at the schedule and start planning things. And then when is mini camp is when? It's coming up because they have rookie camp now. They're in OTAs.
I think it's June 5th through the 7th.
It's coming up. Yeah.
Do you know the dates for training camp, or have those not been announced yet?
I don't think they announced the official dates yet. Not yet.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I want to make it up for a training camp one of these years. I've still never been up to Florham.
Listen, man, you're on the Jets videos, man. You're making guest appearances on One Jets Drive and everything. You gotta go to practice, man.
I know, dude. I got a celebrity over there. Get up there.
It's a question. Would you open the season against Minnesota for the Darnold versus Jets game? Let's do it.
I think we would eat Sam Darnold alive, man. 100%. Our defense.
I would love every second of that. I'm down to Minnesota week 1. Let's do it.
That'd be cool. I'd be down for that. I'd be down for that for sure.
Or Zach week 1. Darnold or Zach.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I think Bo Nix is gonna win that job though.
Think so?
Yeah. I do. But Tyson, I appreciate it, man. We'll be back next week. I don't know if it'll be here or on Let's Talk Jets Radio.
Somewhere.
Breaking down the Jets schedule. Really, I guess the NFL schedule as well.
Yep.
So we'll see how it plays out. I appreciate everybody hanging, tuning in. I know it's such a weird time, like Thursday, 8:30 while we got NBA on. So I appreciate everybody hanging out.
Talk to you guys later.
See you guys.